No, I don't want to knock it over. Okay, when do I start? Does it work? Yeah. When do I start? Or when he finishes doing that, or do I just start now? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الحاذي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيه يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها اشفع لنا يا سادتي حاجات يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين.
صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا الشهر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه عليه وهو الشهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خير من 1000 شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك من علي بفكاك الرقبة من النار في من تمن عليه وأذكرني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم اذكر على أهل القبور السرور اللهم اغن كل فقير اللهم اشف كل جائع اللهم اكس كل عريان اللهم اقض دين كل مدين اللهم افرج عن كل مكروب اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم أصل كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم سد فقر بغناك اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم رب شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام صل على محمد وعلى محمد وارزقني حج بيتك الحرام في عام هذا وفي كل عام واغفر لي تلك الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفر غيرك يا رحمن يا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للثواب بمنك وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النقال والنقمة وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أثنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك فاشيا سميع مدحتي وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي وأكل يا غفور أثرتي فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها وهموم قد كشفتها وأثرة قد أكلتها ورحمة قد نشرتها وهلكة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي مذاد له في ملكه ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله فاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده ظاهر من الكرم بجده الباسط بالجود يدا الذي لا تنقص خزائن ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جود وكرما إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير مع حاجة بي إليه عظيم وغناك عنه كظيم وهو عند كثير وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إني عفوك عن ذنبي وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي وصفحك عن ظلمي وسترك على كبيه عملي وحلمك عن كثير جربي عندما كان من قطع أمد. أطمئن في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك الذي رزقتني من رحمة وأريتني من قدرتك وعرفتني من إجابتك فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستانسا لا خائفا ولا وجلا مذلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن أبتأني أتبت بجهل عليك ولعل الذي أبتأني هو خير لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على أبذ اللئيم منك إلي. يا رب إنك تدعوني فأول عنك وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك كأن لتبول عليك. فلم يمنعك ذلك من رحمتي والإحسان إلي وتفضل علي بجود وكرمك فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجذ بفضل إحسانك إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك مجري الفلك وسقك الرياح فالك الإصباح ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله حلمي بعد علمه والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالك الإسباب ذو الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادل ولا شبيه يشاكل ولا ظهير يعادد قهر بعزته الأعزاء وتوضأ لعظمته العظمى فبلغ بقدرة ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيب لي أنادي حين أنادي ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا أعصي ويؤذم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أتاني وعظيمة مكوفة قد كفاني وبهجة مونكة قد أراني فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائل ولا يقيب عامل. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن القائفين وينحب الساهلين وينجس الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويدع المستكبرين ويهلك ملك ويستخلف آخرين والحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الحاربين أقال الظالمين سريك المستسرقين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء سقانها وترجف الأرض وأمارها وتموج البحار ومن يصبح في غمراتها الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحب الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأصنع وأكثر ما صليت وبارك وترحمته وتهنت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسولك وصفتك وأهل كرامته عليك من خلقك اللهم صل على علي أمير المؤمنين وسير رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وقي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم وصل على صديق الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين وصل على سبتي رحمة وإمامه الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخليفة الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة اللهم صل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدوس يا رب العالمين
اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله مكن له دينه الذي ارتزيته له أبدله من بعد خوفه أمني يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا اللهم أعزه وأعزز به وانصره وانتصر به وانصره نصرا عزيزا وافتح له فتحا يسيرا واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا اللهم أزهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتزل بحنفاك وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم المم به شأثنا واشعب به صدعنا وارتق به فتقنا وكثر به خلتنا وأعزز به زلتنا وأغن به عائلنا واخز به عن مكرمنا واجبر به فقرنا وسد به خلتنا ويسر به أسرنا وبيز به وجوهنا وفك به أسرنا وأنجز به طلبتنا وأنجز به مواعيدنا واستجب به دعوتنا وعافنا به سؤلنا وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة أعمالنا وعاتنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المؤتين. اشف به صدورنا وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله وغيبة ولينا وكثرة عدونا وقلة عددنا وشدة الفتن بنا وتظاهر الزمان علينا فصل على محمد وآله وعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تؤجله وبزر تكشفه ونصر تعزه وسلطان حق تظهره ورحمة منك تجللناها وعافية منك تلبسناها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم برحمتك في الصالحين فأدخلنا وفي الليين فارفعنا وبكأس من معين من عين سلسبيل فاسقنا ومن الحور العين برحمتك فزوجنا ومن الولدان المخلدين كأنهم لؤلؤ مكنون فأخدمنا ومن ثمار الجنة ولحوم الطير فأطعمنا ومن ثياب السندس والحرير والاستبرق فألبسنا وليلة القدر وحج بيتك الحرام وقتلا في سبيلك فوفق لنا وصالح الدعاء والمسألة فاستجب لنا وإذا جمعت الأولين والآخرين يوم القيامة فارحمنا وبراءة من النار فاكتب لنا وفي جهنم فلا تغلنا وفي عذابك وهوانك فلا تبتلنا ومن الزقوم والزريع فلا تطئنا ومع الشياطين فلا تجعلنا وفي النار على وجوهنا فلا تكببنا ومن ثياب النار وسرابيل القطران فلا تلبسنا ومن كل سوء يا لا إله إلا أنت بحق لا إله إلا أنت فنجنا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك أن تجعل فيما تقصي وتقدر من الأمر المحتوم في الأمر الحكيم من القضاء الذي لا يرد ولا يبدل أن تكتبني من حجاج بيتك الحرام المبرور حجهم المشكور سعيهم المغفور ذنوبهم المكفر عن سيئاتهم وأن تجعل فيما تكسي وتقدر أن تطيل أمري في خير وعافية وتوسع في رزقي وتجعلني ممن تنتصر به لدينك ولا تستبدل بي خيري. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطوى الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك كبلي طبيعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه.
Please can we all move forward in the gents hall? There's so much space on my right hand side. Muhammad Wali Muhammad Salawat. My dear elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. All right, we'll try this again. My dear elders, brothers and sisters, respected scholars, Assalamu alaikum. I have a few announcements to run through you all today, so let's get this over and done as quick as possible. Starting off, the Ramzan budget for the year is £40,000. We are just over a quarter of the way there, so please can we have a loud salawat for that? We are requesting households of 3 or more to donate £150 and households of 2 or less to donate £110. This will really help us cover the budget and all the costs for Ramzan, helping us to put on all the subcommittee events, invite our guest speakers, and of course, feed you guys niyaz for all the days. Niyaz sponsorship for the month, again, we are covering the cost of that very well. The average cost of niyaz is about £800. If you would like to donate and cover a niyaz for one of your marhumin, please contact Brother Hasnain Merchant in the gents or Sister Zainab Leicester in the ladies. In regards to the gents' external toilets near the ladies' entrance, please can we try our best to keep these as clean as possible. I know a couple of days ago we had to call a plumber out because someone flushed a plastic water bottle down there. Guys, come on, let's just keep it in decent condition going forward. Please can we also be aware of the kitchen. We are trying to minimize that only for people who need to use the kitchen for serving food and also for people who are disabled and need that short exit to leave the center. We have got hot tea moving around there and people serving food as well. We don't want anyone to get hit by any of the hot liquid, especially with young children running around. We don't want any accidents. On Friday, this Friday at 9:30 p.m., the Behlul Society and Little Angels are holding a girls' Sehri night. If you would like to register for the girls between 15 and 30, I think, please speak to Sister Fatima Jafar or Sister Noreen Durrani. On the Saturday night, there is a boys' Sehri night, again starting at 9:30. If you would like to register for that, please speak to Brother Husayn Jafar or Brother Ghulam Hasnain for more information. PACE have created a take-home Ramadan family quiz. Entries need to be submitted by the 30th of March, and the winners will be announced on Eid night. If you would like a paper copy, please speak to Brother Ali Abbas Rajani in the gents or Sister Batul Salman in the ladies. Tonight's majlis is sponsored for the following marhumin. Please can I ask the AV team to display the names on the screen. Please can we recite aloud Surah Fatiha for all the marhumin. Bismillah. That's all for the announcements tonight. Please can we welcome Sheikh Abbas to deliver tonight's seminar with 3 loud salawats.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فكلوا مما رزقكم الله حلالا طيبا واشكروا نعمة الله إن كنتم إياه تعبدون صدق الله العلي العظيم بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. In this seminar, this interactive session, inshallah, we'll go into the topic of what is halal to eat and drink. It's a month in which we are keeping away from food, so I thought it would be appropriate to have this session during this holy month. And I've had prepared this particular slide that they'll put on soon, inshallah, where I'll go through the ahkam, okay, the various ahkam about halal, food and drink, and how to ascertain these things and so on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Holy Quran, in Surah An-Nahl, that eat, فَكُلُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهِ. Eat from that which Allah has given to you as your rizq. وَاشْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. And be thankful for the ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِن كُنتُمْ إِيَّاهُ تَعْبُدُونَ. If you are truly a Muslim, basically, if you truly only worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then thank Him. So really, to understand this verse, you got to go backwards. Start from the end. Are you a Muslim? Do you say La ilaha illallah? If you do, then ushkuru ni'matullah. Be thankful for the ni'mat that Allah has given you, the many ni'mat, the many blessings, the bounties, everything that you have, it is from the ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you must be thankful. How are we to be thankful? By eating that which is halal and tayyib. Okay. So it's so central and vital for our lives, day-to-day lives. We're eating, this part of our day-to-day lives. We've got to make sure what we eat is halal. I'm going only into the masail that are there in Tawdi al-Masail, but really the concept of halal is much wider than that. I'll go into that towards the end of the presentation. Before the questions and answers. Okay. So it's a long, it doesn't want to move forward. Okay. So we will look at which animals are halal, what is the process of, we won't go into the process of Islamic slaughtering. If you want to, then we'll have a demonstration later, inshallah. Which drinks are haram? What are other things that are haram and certain exceptions that we'll go into, okay? Is this Bluetooth? Or? Okay. So which animals are halal? Now, of course, most of us stick to the basic lamb, chicken, beef, the basic things. We're not interested in whether we're allowed to eat horses or not, yeah? But it's good to know what is halal and what is haram. So amongst the land animals, there's a principle there that all animals, all species of animals are halal unless there is stipulation in the Sharia, in the Quran or in the Sunnah that says it's haram. Okay. So the question is, which animals are haram really? Yeah, not which are halal. So look at what is haram. So let's go back. So which land animals are haram? All the dog and the pig, obviously. All predatory animals, animals of prey. Okay. So a lion, why is it haram to eat? Or even a cat, a house cat. Essentially it's a predatory animal. Okay. All insects and pests, in Arabic we call them hasharat. This includes lizards, rodents, hedgehogs, snakes. Yeah. The rabbit, the ape, the elephant and the cat. Yes, some of these animals are haram. Why? Why is the elephant haram? Is it a predatory animal? Why would it be haram? Yeah. It's a herbivore. It's like a big bhens, it's a big cow, isn't it? Yeah. Why can't we eat an elephant? The short answer is there's a hadith that forbids it. Yes. The rule is anything that's forbidden in the hadith that is hujjah, that is sahih or mu'tabar, then that is going to become haram for us. The reasoning behind it we can go into in another occasion. Okay, so all these animals, there's so many animals that remain, but these are the main animals: the cow, the camel, the buffalo, the goat, the sheep, the deer, the gazelle. The horse, the mule and the donkey are halal, but they are makruh. Okay, so I wouldn't advise eating any of these. So which marine animals are haram? This is quite important. Why? Because not everything, when we go and to a restaurant and we get a fish meal. Yeah. There was a time people used to say, we can get a fish fillet in McDonald's. It's halal, it's fish, it's not meat. But no, not all fish are halal. The Ahl Sunnah believes it to be halal. All fish. Some of them say all fish, some of them say all sea animals. But we say that the fish that don't have scales, they are haram. The fish that have scales, they are halal. So when you go to the local butchers, you will find the meat to be halal, inshallah, but the fish, you'll have halal and haram. You got to find out which fish you're buying. If it's catfish, pangasius, you call it panga fish or something here. Yeah? These are fish without scales. Pangasius is catfish, I think. Sharks, rays, eels, hagfish, paddle. There's a few fish that don't have scales. We can't eat those fish. And then other marine life. Other animals that we find in the sea, are they halal? For example, we have shellfish, crustaceans and mollusks. They are all haram as well. They are the insects of the sea. They are the hasharats and the bottom feeders of the sea. The only exception are the shrimps and the prawns. And also, back when you look at the insects, there's one exception to that as well. There's one insect that we can eat, that's halal. Does anyone know what it is? There's one? Yeah? Jarad. What's the jarad in English? I forgot the English word. Like the grasshoppers and... Yeah? I forgot the English word, sorry. There's a particular locust. Yes? So different species of locusts, they are halal. Yeah? So if you find yourself with these locusts on your plate, you can eat them. There's no dhabiha issue there. So shrimps and prawns are allowed. All these amphibians like frogs, they're haram. And the sea mammals like dolphins and whales, they're not fish, they're not hasharat, but they are sea mammals. They are haram as well. Okay, so really what do we end up with? What is halal? Fish with scales and shrimps and prawns. Yeah? From the sea, that is what is halal. So we have a list of fish here that are halal. There's many more fish here that I haven't listed, but these are the main ones that we can find in the supermarkets. So flying animals or birds. Okay, which are haram. Remember, we are looking at what is haram, and everything else is halal. What is haram? Sorry? Lobsters not allowed. Lobsters, crabs, all these kind of things. Yeah, they're not allowed. Just the shrimps and the prawns. Okay, flying animals, birds. The predatory birds with talons, such as eagles, falcons, hawks, vultures, crows, these are haram. And also there's another standard that we learn from the ahadith, that birds which glide more than they flap. Yeah. If you look at the chickens, do they glide anywhere? They don't really glide. Yeah. So they are, those chickens are halal. And also amongst the flying animals are bats and bugs, insects. So they're all haram. Yeah, they're all haram. Bats because they're really rodents, and insects because they're hasharat, except the locusts. They are essentially flying animals as well. Okay, so these are the animals that are haram. We need to make sure what we are eating is one of those species that is halal. So there's a lot of birds that we can eat. Yes. Who's eaten a crane? I haven't. But there's a few animals that we can find there, yeah, that we can eat, including the pigeon and the dove. So alhamdulillah, there's plenty of pigeons here. And they're free. Okay. And also, the peafowl, the peacock and the peahen. Most maraja say it is haram. Sistani has a very differing opinion on that. He said it's halal. And I read an article on why. It's quite interesting, the background of this, but he says it is halal. But, sorry? It's not, I mean, even chickens eat worms. It's commonly known in Pakistan that peacocks eat snakes, but I don't know. Okay? All right. So how do these animals, are they halal? Can I get a chicken and start eating it? No. They need to be dead first, but also how are they made to die? Okay, so by tadhkiyah. Okay, this is a word that's very important, tadhkiyah. Tadhkiyah by what method? Yes. The fish has its method, the other animals has their method of dhibaha, and we have the nahar of the camel. Okay, so it depends on what type of animal. So with the slaughtering, so there's a few rules about slaughtering. The animals, the slaughterer must be Muslim. Okay, we can't go to a place where they're slaughtering animals and the person doing it, even if he's saying Allahu Akbar or Bismillah or whatever, if he's a kafir, it's not good enough. Okay. Must be facing Qibla at the time of slaughtering. The name of Allah and the dhikr of Allah it must be done. The animal must be alive. You can't just kill it and then cut its neck. And also the neck isn't cut all the way through instantly. Okay? There's certain particular details. We don't need to go into too much detail here. Okay. Yes. Sorry? If you know that they are zapping the animal, then one of the conditions of slaughtering is that they must be alive. So if there's a possibility that the animal is dead, after cutting its neck, you have to see, are its eyes flickering? Is there any movement in its feet? Anything? So as an obligatory precaution, if you've zapped an animal, you've got to make sure there's movement afterwards, to be sure that the animal is still alive, because there is a chance. So the HMC, they don't certify animals that have been zapped, that have been stunned. Okay? Others do. If we don't know, we don't know. I'll go into those issues later. But in essence, stunning an animal, it's okay to stun it as long as you are sure that the animal is still alive at the point of slaughtering. Sorry, yeah. So let's move on to the next one. Next slide, please. Next one. Okay, so the animals, I think our butchers have got it handled, yeah? We don't need to worry about it. But fish as well, fish, the tadhkiyah of the fish is by taking it out of the water alive. Yeah? Either, you grab it, caveman style, or you use a net or anything like that, okay? Or the fish itself brings itself outside of the water or the sea, or the wave takes it to the shore and it finds itself outside of the water. Yeah, if it's outside of the water, then you can take it and it's halal through that, okay? While it is alive, you take it while it is alive. If it's dead, there's still a chance that it was dead before the shore brought it up to land. And if the fish are caught in the net and they are brought up out of the water and they are found to be dead, they are halal. If they're in the net, if they're caught in the net, and they bring it up, yes, it's still halal. The person fishing doesn't have to be a Muslim. Okay? So these trawlers, these fishing trawlers, yeah, most likely they will not be Muslim, and it's fine. There's no issue with the fish, and no recitation is required. But there's a question that arises that how do we know that the fish is being taken out of the water alive? And the next slide will explain that the commercial fishing industry is based on modern fishing methods of catching fish alive in their nets, okay? Mainly for hygiene purposes. There's some issue with this. Yeah. And if we understand this to be the common method for fishing, then that is sufficient for us. We don't need to investigate that which trawler went out there and how did they catch this particular fish that I'm eating. No, we don't need to do that. It is sufficient that we understand that there is a common fishing practice that does what we consider the tadhkiyah of fish. And that is the case. Okay. But for example, if you're getting a fish from somebody who's fishing, for example, and he might have, an individual, he doesn't know that we eat fish in a particular way, that it must be taken out from the water alive. He just finds a fish that's dead and he says, okay, here's a halal fish for us to eat. No, we got to make sure, we got to ask him the question. But if there's a common standard there in the industry, we can rely upon that. Next slide, please. So how do we know that a bird or land animal is mudhakkar? Okay, so other than the fish, yeah, the fish is quite clear. How do we know these other animals? How do we know that chicken is mudhakkar? Nowadays we use the word zabiha. Yeah. The principle is, the basic default position is that all animals are not mudhakkar and ghair zabiha unless one knows or is mutma'in that it is. Okay. There is clear proof that one becomes certain that the animal is mudhakkar or dhabiha, or one is satisfied. It's close to 100%. However, this is difficult. It's difficult to, navigate through life. One would need to then become vegetarians because we can never find out. Or, in modern times, let alone in olden times. And the Imams alayhimu salatu wassalam, they showed us and they demonstrated to us through the principle of السوق المسلمين قاعدة سوق المسلمين وقاعدة يد المسلم, the principle of the hand of the Muslim or the Muslim market. And they went out and they explained to their companions that I'm going to eat the meat that I get from the market. I'm not going to ask any questions because the market is a Muslim market. Okay? It's from the lutf of Allah. This is from the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's made this easy for us. So firstly, we have that general principle. We don't forget that principle. But there are 2 or 3 exceptions. There are 3 exceptions, I think, that are listed here. The first is that the meat is obtained from Muslim hands. Yeah, it's from Yadil Muslim. If a Muslim gives you a plate of chicken biryani to eat, you can eat it. Okay? You don't need to ask any questions. If a Muslim butcher is giving you meat, then you can buy that meat, as long as it is from a Muslim. But this exception applies as long as there's no reason for us to believe that this person is a fraud, he's lying, or he doesn't care about the Sharia. Yes.
What if there's a Muslim-owned business and there's a Hindu working there?
Yeah, that's okay as well. The question was, what if there is a Hindu employee at a Muslim butcher's, as long as the one who owns a business, he's there as the one cutting and, taking the cash for it. But the seller of that meat is the owner of the business. Okay, that is fine. But unless there's, for example, this person, he believes, he's a Muslim, but he believes that all meat is halal. Yeah? Or, there's other reasons that, this guy is a liar, he's just buying meat, he's buying roadkill to sell, so something like that. So, if you know some reason for doubting this, then it is, you're going to go by that. Otherwise, if you take it from a Muslim, just regard it as being halal. Okay? This is the first principle. The next slide, please. The second principle is that the meat is obtained from a Muslim market. I go to a Muslim market, I don't need to find out whether this person selling it to me is a Muslim or not. Okay? But there's a general Islamic ethos there in the market. If I go to Pakistan and someone is selling me meat, I don't need to ask, are you a Christian? I don't need to ask, are you a Ahmadi? Yeah? As long as it's from the Muslim market, I can take that meat. But if I do find out, of course, that someone is not a Muslim, then I can't. But generally, the investigation isn't necessary. Okay? The meat is made in Muslim lands. Okay? We have the haribos made in Turkey. Like I say, it has a gelatine, but it's made in Turkey. So those are sweets that are okay to eat. It's gelatine from beef produce. It's a Muslim country. It's not for us to judge how religious they are or not. Okay? It's a Muslim country. As long as it is seen, conventionally speaking, as a Muslim country, you regard it as a Muslim country. Okay? So these exceptions have been found there in a number of ahadith, not just meat, but also leather, things that we wear as well. Okay? But that's a whole other discussion. Okay? So there's no need to investigate for these things. Okay? You're going to give yourself a burden. Yes, if you as an individual wish to do precaution. Yes. If you want to investigate, that's on you. If you want to have a higher standard in your meat, in terms of whether it is, quite different. If it's like registered, this company selling the meat, if it's registered with HMC or another body that is definitely, certifying animals. What I've investigated is that HMC does abide by the rules that we follow. Yeah. Yes. The machine slaughtered animals, sorry? From a Muslim country. There are different views about that, and I would, if one doesn't know, we don't need to investigate. Okay? If you go to Saudi, they are Muslim. You take their meat. Okay? No need to ask any questions. In Basra or somewhere, there was a view, and there's still a view, a minority view, but at that time it was much more common that the skin of an animal, if once it's tanned leather, it becomes tahir. And this was posed to one of the imams. The imam says, we don't worry about this. Whether the person selling this to me, what is his madhab, what does he allow? As long as it is from a Muslim, from a Muslim market, it is halal. If you want to make sure, double sure, triple sure, it's on you. Yeah? I personally would only, I will try to buy meat only from HMC, it gives me itminan, greater itminan. Yes, that their rules are quite strict. They're hand slaughtered, for example. When it comes to machine slaughtering, there are different rules about whether about the recitation and whether it is mechanical or electric. Different things there, and it's a complication. Okay, so if it's from a Muslim, it's okay. All right. And we should try and stick to Muslim abattoirs as much as possible, because that is then from the Muslim, yeah? But even then, the Muslim butcher is sufficient for us. So I've written here, so even if one is not sure about it being halal or not, okay, this is when we are not sure. When you know something is haram, it's haram. When you know something is halal, it's halal, of course. But when you have a doubt, this is when these rules come in. So when you have doubt, as long as the mentioned situations apply, and there is considerable possibility of it being mudhakkar, it's not so negligible that is, you don't need to worry about it. It's like a 1% of, No, if it's considerable, yeah? If there's a possibility that it is halal, consider it to be halal. Yeah? As long as there's nothing very specific, like I know this butcher is a liar, I don't trust him, yeah? He eats all the haram stuff, so why would he sell halal things? Yeah. So if there's something very specific that will tell you this particular person is not trustworthy, then yes, we can't go to that person. But otherwise, you can follow these rules. If one knows that prior to the Muslim hand, the Muslim has given this meat to me, whether it is someone who has invited me to his home and given me the food, the cooked food, or whether it is a butcher, or whatever it is, whatever scenario, if it's come from a Muslim, but he has got it from a non-Muslim. It's, maybe there's a middleman company that is distributing the meats. It is halal as long as there is still considerable possibility that the Muslim ensured that it was halal. The Muslim, okay, he's going to make sure that it's going to be halal. Okay, the Muslim who has got the food. Okay, so again, so there needs to be a considerable possibility there. We don't need to know. We don't need to ask. We don't need to question. Have you paid all your khums? Is your house, halal for you to, No, we don't need to ask any questions. Okay, it's between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Otherwise, life will be impossible. Next slide, please. Okay, so you go to Asda. Okay, even nowadays they have what's it called, Haji Baba or something, yeah. But let's say you go to the aisle, and there's food labeled as halal. So this is meat from non-Muslim countries. So non-Muslims in non-Muslim countries. If it is known that the non-Muslim obtained it from the Muslim or the Muslim market or the Muslim country, as mentioned previously, it is halal. If you know, this is the case. So if it is, for example, Haji Baba, yeah, then I'm not sure if you have it here. We have it in the London area, yeah, yeah, the special kind of halal thing section. The labels halal, where you see that doesn't prove anything. The context will prove it. The context of the fact that no one here will risk labeling anything halal for fear of civil action or even criminal action against them, then that is sufficient, yes. Yes, as long as it's coming from a Muslim company. But even then, Tariq Halal, is that a Muslim company? Sorry? Okay, yeah, if you know, as long as you can't just go by names and labels. Okay, if it sounds like a Muslim name, you can easily find out whether it's a Muslim company or not. So the label themselves, when it says halal, doesn't really, if you go, for example, to Mexico and it says halal, there's no laws there. Yeah, that'll make sure that all the supermarkets are they advertise and they label things properly. Here, we get that sense, so one can, if he feels mutma'in, again, it's very subjective. It's about itminan and yaqeen that we have as subjective individuals. So if you are mutma'in, then you can buy that as well. Yes. Yes, the big chains will not risk these things, exactly.
They won't be risking because there are a few other stores, they started putting more halal, and they are very big chains. So they want to risk something to be halal. If they are not halal, obviously if they prove
Having
guilty.
said that, I remember a few years ago where Tesco was selling horse meat. But they are doing their best. They wouldn't have done it. It's their suppliers that were doing dodgy stuff. So one must know or be satisfied that the animal is mudhakka, it's dhabiha. Okay? And a number of factors can cause satisfaction. It can cause itminan. A number of things. Contextual information. Next slide, please. So the chicken is halal, but can we eat every bit of the chicken? Yes. There's things that we are not allowed to eat, and I have listed it here, okay? So if you want to take a photo of this, make sure you don't eat any of this. The spinal cord that runs down the spine, that needs to be taken out as well, yeah? Otherwise, I think the regular meat that we get, it's okay, yeah? All right, next slide, please. Okay, that was all about food. What about drinks? Of course, wine and all alcoholic substances, yeah, are haram. And amongst Ahl Sunnah, there are disputes. So I listened to one Sheikh, amongst them, Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. He was saying that if its alcoholic content is so little that it's not going to cause intoxication, he says, I drink it, I enjoy it. Yeah? No, there's a ruling in our hadith that ma yuskiru qaliluhu فكثيره حرام. No, sorry, ما يسكر كثيره فقليله حرام. If there's something that if you drink 2 jugs of it, then you become a bit intoxicated, then even the smallest sip is going to be haram. Okay? As long as it does intoxicate. Yeah? As long as it does intoxicate, it is going to be haram. Unless it turns or is turned into vinegar. How is wine turned into vinegar? It goes through a further process. A similar kind of process that turns grape juice into wine. Okay? There's a particular bacteria that is introduced, and it ferments and it becomes into vinegar. And that becomes halal, and that can be consumed. Grape juice is something that we've got to be careful about. Yeah? If grape juice, yeah, you've bought some grape juice, or you've made some grape juice. If it foams and bubbles, why would it foam and bubble? Fermentation. If you leave it a couple of days, 3 days, 4 days, depending on the climate and the air, there's yeast on the skin of the grape, and then there's bacteria in the air as well. Combines, it starts to ferment by itself. So even grapes, if they're very old, if you taste them, they do taste a bit vinegary. Yeah, you can smell it as well. It's like you're going past the alcohol aisle in Tesco, and there's some, a bottle that's broken or something. You smell it. Yeah, that's that kind of smell. So the fermentation process begins through, and you see it through the bubbling and the foaming. The other thing is by heating it on the fire, on a stove. Once the bubbling or the fermentation begins, once you take it to a bubbling level, when it's simmering, it becomes haram to consume. Okay? Even if it doesn't become wine or an intoxicant, as soon as for a second it starts simmering and bubbling on the heat, it's going to become haram. And it will become halal again. Just a second. if it is reduced to 1/3 of the original amount. If you start bubbling, if you want to boil it, you've got to reduce it to 1/3 to make a syrup. That will no longer be fermentable then. Yeah, it's to stop grape juice from becoming intoxicating. Yeah? That's what I can assume. Allahu A'lam. Yeah, yes.
Commercial drinks like Schla, you can get grape juice and that, but it's like fizzy. But obviously it's grape juice, so how would you know? It's like you're not gonna.
If you don't know, you don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is halal until you know it's haram. If it's UHT grape juice, UHT doesn't take it to a boiling point when it's ultra heat treated for its longevity. Yeah, it lasts longer in the carton. That is also okay. It is heated, but it's not taken to a boiling point. Yeah.
Kill probably all the background.
Yeah. But Allahu A'lam. That's why I say Allahu A'lam. Why? Yes? Yeah. Okay, so next slide, please. Yes. Who's okay? Yes. Yes. Bismillah.
The coffee drink, which is the Turkish lassi thing, it's only got 2% alcohol. Is that okay?
It's 2% alcohol.
2% fermentation or something.
Okay, I didn't know that, first of all. And secondly, it depends what kind of alcohol. If it's, how's milk fermented or yogurt fermented? The fermentation of the milk makes it yogurt. So that doesn't cause intoxication. So not all fermentation, even yeast and bread, yes, it's fermentation. So not all fermentation causes intoxication. So I think that's the fermentation that's there. If you say there's a substance of there's some alcohol in it, 2%, like they do in some juices as well. If it is wine or beer, which are both najis, according to Sayyid Sistani, then that will make it najis. You can't eat and drink it, yes? But if it is an alcoholic substance other than that, and a small percentage, like maybe 1% or 0.5%, I don't know about 2%, if a small percentage goes into the drink, that is consumable, according to Sayyid Sistani. Okay? It's what we call mustahalik. It becomes a negligible content in that drink, as long as it's not wine or beer. Okay, but I'll just end. I've taken a lot of time. What else is haram? All najis things. Again, wine and anything that wine touches. Yeah, even a drop of wine in anything, even the tiniest drop of wine in anything is going to make the whole thing najis. Okay? The earth, clay, and dust, except turbatul Husayn alayhi salam, the actual turbatul Husayn alayhi salam. Anything that is excessively harmful to anyone, so poison, yeah, or anything that's gone bad. If it's going to make you ill, it's haram to consume. Animals that have habituated themselves to eating human stool, that's a whole other subject, okay, in the najasat, and it is forbidden. First, and the final thing is that, we talk about halal. The money that we earn, is it halal? And then the money that we then buy that food with, is that halal? Even this hadith I mentioned, even the small things that I have been invited to someone's house. He says, Maulana Sahab aap aiye. He hasn't said that bring your kids, bring your family, and I come with all my tabar le aau main. Yeah? Imam alayhi salam, Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salam has said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Whoever eats from food that he hasn't been invited to, it's as if he has eaten a piece of the hellfire. Yeah? There's a जी
बच्चों का कोई कसूर नहीं है ना, माँ बाप लेकर गए।
हाँ, बच्चे तो मुकल्लफ है ही नहीं ना।
मैंने तो खाया,
जी तो माँ बाप का ये काम है। इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम बता रहे हैं करबला में कि ये लोग सुन क्यों नहीं पा रहे हैं कि किसको कत्ल करने आए हैं। उनके पेट उनके भरे हुए हैं हराम से। तो अगर हम हराम खाते रहेंगे, ज़रूरी नहीं कि हम यानी वो हराम मीट ख़रीदें, ये है कि हमारी कमाई हराम हो, हमने झूठ और फ़रेब और चीटिंग के साथ हमने कमाई की है, उसका असर नज़र आएगा अपनी ज़ात में और औलाद में भी। तो हो सकता है कि अगर बच्चे कुरान नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं, हो सकता है अगर बच्चे नमाज नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं, हो सकता है अगर बच्चों का दिल नहीं है आज़ादारी में, बहुत सारे वजूहात हो सकते हैं, ठीक है, लेकिन हो सकता है ये भी हो। तो इस पर गौर व फिक्र करना चाहिए। वो आखिर दावाना अनिल हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन। टाइम बहुत गुजर गया है, आई थिंक आई विल गो straight to ziyarat. If any questions, I'm around, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء الفقراء، السلام عليك يا شمت الشموس، السلام عليك يا أنيس النفوس، أيها المدفون بأرض الطوس، شعب الحسن يا علي بن مثرد روحي وجسمي وقلبي لك الفداء، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الأسر والزمان، سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك صلواتك عليه وعلى في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصر ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. اللهم صل على محمد. إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات رحمة الله من قال الفاتحة.